background, you guys are a 9th grade English Language Arts resource room class. So, okay, welcome to class, everybody. So we've all been working on organization skills lately. So one thing I want you to remember, we have the homework on the board. So take a couple minutes, seconds, write that in your planner, and remember that I'm going to check that off tomorrow. So make sure you're writing down your homework. It's the summary of the KWL chart, which you guys don't know what that is because we're going to learn about that today. So I wanted to start out by going over our learning goal for today. So can I have a volunteer to read the learning goal? Connor, thank you.
To determine the central idea of a nonfiction text and summarize it through the use of a KWL chart.
Awesome, thanks Connor. So, I underlined a couple of verbs in here, and we've been learning about parts of speech and verbs. So these verbs are really important that you not only know how to use them, but know what they are, because you're not going to be able to use them if you don't know what they are. So along with determining and summarizing, I thought of a couple other words. So I'm going to start a class word list of the words that I want you guys to be able to do and use throughout the lesson today. So we're not going to define them all right now because that might be a little bit overwhelming, but I want you guys to be aware of them. And as we go through this KWL chart and our activity for today, we're going to kind of go over the words that we're going to be learning. So, word list. So determining is one of them because that's right there in the learning goal. And so is summarize. And along with summarization, we're going to be doing a lot of organizing thoughts to create a summary. So I'm going to add organization there. And then the last one I'm going to put is analyzing, because that's a really important bit of how you summarize and determine details. Alright, so we have our list up there, and just know that we're going to be defining those as we go. So I'm going to hand out our bit of reading that we're going to do the activity on today. So this is an address that President Barack Obama gave on Labor Day 2008. So before we start reading this, we're going to go over how we're going to read this, because you're not going to be able to effectively read it and answer questions unless you have a strategy going into that. So has anybody heard of a KWL chart before? Yeah, I'm seeing some nods. Okay. We are going to make both individual KWL charts and class KWL charts. So could I have everybody get out a sheet of paper? Over there.
I have a question.
Connor?
Can we use the back part paper or the bottom part of the...
You can use the bottom of the paper if you want. But don't write on the back because it'll be important that you're referring to the reading while you're writing on your chart.
Okay.
Alright, so everybody has their piece of paper out. I want you to copy down this chart. So there's 3 columns in it. There's the K section, or know, the W section, or want to know, and then the L section, or learned. Alright, everybody have that? Okay, so just like reading, we're going to go left to right here. So the first thing we're going to do before we even start the actual reading is we're going to fill out the know section. So these are things almost like making predictions about the text and what you already know about this. So take just a minute to, you can skim if you want, look at the title of it, or in italics it kind of gives some details about where the speech was, and try and activate some prior knowledge and think about what you already know about the text. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that and jot down some ideas, and then we're going to share.
We're at 5 minutes. 10 more?
Alright, if you're done, let me know by putting your pencil down and having your eyes on me. 1 second. Alright. Everybody have their thoughts finished? Okay. Let's see, Kaylee, will you share with me one thing you already know, or what that you think you know about this speech, or about the subject?
Barack Obama, who gave the speech, is and was at the time of the speech president
Hmm?
of the United States.
I like that you clarified that he's the president now and at the time of the speech. Now. Alright, that's really good. And where did you get the detail about Barack Obama? Where did you come up with it?
It's in the
This is gonna be
subtitle.
In the subtitle. Perfect. Thank you, Kaylee. Alright, does anybody else? Yeah.
It's a Labor Day speech, so he'll probably talk about labor movements at least once in
Okay, because that's what Labor Day is about. Perfect. And where did you get that it might be about Labor Day?
the title of
Yes, that's kind of the big glaring one. Alright, let's try and think of 2 other things that you already know. Yeah,
It was in Billings, Montana, so it might be a different audience than he usually speaks to
Okay.
in Washington. And I got that from the subtitle.
perfect. So it's a different environment than Washington DC. Okay, and one more. Connor, can you share something you wrote?
Said it was an American holiday.
Alright, that's good. Labor Day is an American holiday. I'm gonna put that under here. Alright, so before we move on, I want us to go back over to our class word list. So, remember that the learning goal was to determine the central idea of a nonfiction text and summarize it through the use of a KWL chart. So we haven't done a lot of summarization yet, but I did see you guys doing a lot of determining. So determining would be kind of looking over a text and coming up with a concrete idea. So can we come up with a class definition of what determining would be and how you guys determined what a text was going to be about? Anybody give an example of that? See, Miguel, I haven't heard from you yet. How did we determine what the text was going to be about?
We looked at clues in the text
Mhm.
and then made a conclusion.
Yeah. I like that. So looking at the text and making conclusions, can we come up with that as a class definition? Okay. Awesome. Also, through the use of our chart, we did some organization. So how did we organize using the chart? So far, I know we're not done with the chart. Jessica, do you have any ideas?
Like systematically, like looking at one thing first.
Mm-hmm. So it's a system of looking at things, or a system of laying out what you're gonna do. So should we just write system of doing things? Okay. Alright, thank you. So we're gonna go back to the KWL chart now. So now that we have some things that you already know about this, and you guys have kind of skimmed and done a little bit of pre-reading, let's fill out the W section. So this is what you want to know about the text. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes and fill this in on your own chart. And think about some things that you want to know and that you think might be answered by the text. And then we'll come together and we'll share again.
About 4.5 minutes.
Alright, same as before, when you're done, when you have a few things that you want to know, put your pencil down and eyes on me. Alright, Kendra, what is one thing that you want to know about the text?
Why he chose to speak in Billings, Montana.
Alright, that's a really good one. So we kind of took details from what we already know, that it happens in Billings, Montana, and then put that in what we want to know, and we want to know more about it. Alright, let's see, who else has another detail? We'll try and put 3 or 4 on here. What else is something that somebody wants to know? Kaylee?
Is the labor situation in America one of Obama's main concerns as president,
Mhm.
or is it just a side issue?
That's good. Alright. Let's see. Yeah, Jacob.
I'm interested to see how he will try and connect with his audience.
Good, and I like that especially because we know that this is a speech. We haven't really talked about that, and that's a little bit different than written works. So connecting with an audience is a big part of speech. Jessica, can you give me one more?
I said I wanted to know like what type of people were attending this meeting.
Alright, perfect. So looking back at our word list, do you think we were determining some things here? Making conclusions, maybe not necessarily about the text, but about things that we want to know about the text? Were we organizing our thoughts? And one more I want to add to this is analyzing. So analyzing, I think, would go a little bit deeper than just determining, and you really have to think about things and make connections to your own life. So can we say that going deeper and making connections is part of an analysis? Alright, so just a quick review before you guys read. Okay, can somebody give me the definition of one word from our learning goal? Miguel.
One word, like determine, where you were looking at a text and then making conclusions about it.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see, Kaylee, how are the 3 sections of KW Ultra different?
One is before we even look at anything, saying what we know that may pertain to the question at hand, and want to know is how we can pursue what we do know through the reading, and then learned, I'm assuming, is after we've read it and whether or not we've answered any of our questions.
Perfect, thank you. Natalie, how is this helping us to organize?
As she said, it's saying what we already know and what it's organizing the process in which we learn things in a way, and how our prior knowledge is important in learning.
Awesome. Jacob, what was one way that we determined the subject of a reading passage or did some pre-reading? What was something that you looked at?
We looked at the title, the subtitle,